Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to League of Europe, round number 3 of the Championship, and we are at the Autódromo Internacional Algarve, better known as Portimao, for the Portuguese Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. I'll be taking you through the action tonight, and if the last 2 weeks are anything to go by, we are in for an absolutely storming race, ladies and gentlemen. At the French Grand Prix just 1 week ago, we had atrocious weather conditions towards the end of the race, for circuit almost ready for wet tyres. So getting your strategy right on the changeover to the intermediates proved to be absolutely crucial, and it was Excel Merckx who managed that best, taking his first victory, indeed his first points of the season. Welho finishing in second, and Ollie recovering from a DNF as well in round 1 to finish in 3rd place. What that has done for the championship then? Welho, as one of the few drivers to have actually scored decent points in both races, he is now leading the championship on 26 points. Cartolondi and Merckx both with that 1 victory, a non-finish for Excel Merckx and a non-start for Cartolondi as well in their other races. They're on 25 points, and it's extremely close behind as well. Kango Con on 23, RJW Videos on 22, Marcus Towler has 18, Rafa and Ollie both on 15, Excel Bloodwinds on 10, and then at 11 points I should say, and then Alec rounding out the top 10 with 10 points. In the Constructors' Championship, it is, unsurprisingly, the only team to have both their drivers in the top 10, and the drivers, it is McLaren at the top of the Constructors with 34 points, Williams have 26, then we have Alfa, Ferrari, Haas, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Mercedes, the only team yet to score any points. What kind of performance will they be able to put on tonight around Portimao? Who do you guys think, everyone watching at home, is going to be the favourite to win, as we've seen in the Challengers Series, as we've seen across the Esports Series as well, and countless other league races? Quite a challenging circuit, Portimao, to get right. In a similar vein to Imola, joined the calendar, well, I should say Imola was rejoining the calendar. This joined the calendar for the first time in 2020, was the first time there'd been a Grand Prix in Portugal since 1996, and it has instantly become a favourite with the fans, favourite with the drivers when they are getting it right. It is a very difficult circuit. That long run down towards turn number 1 is where you're going to see the majority of the overtaking. 2 DRS zones on the 2.89 1-mile circuit, 1 towards turn number 1, 1 towards turn number 5 as well. And unlike what that track map shows, it is an extremely undulating circuit. Alex saying that he's expecting several spins. I think we're going to see similar to what we got at Imola with that. There were quite a few issues drivers had there, so we could end up with a similar performance. We have got Cartolondi back tonight. He was the man who took the victory from pole position. Last time around, it was Bryn, actually, who got pole position in France. He failed to finish in the end, having a few mistakes, finding it quite tough. He'll be hoping for a better performance tonight. As you can see what the calendar is there. Austria next week, then Monaco, and then the United Kingdom race. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Australia, Belgium, Netherlands, Russia before the break week, then China, Hungary, Canada, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi to finish off a 17 race, in what in league racing terms is a grueling 17 race season. As we've got some people in the chat. Hello Luca Gaming, hello Dean, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying my commentary. Let's see if you're still enjoying it in 33 laps plus 18-minute qualifying time. Hopefully I can make the racing sound as good as it has been over the last few weeks. Good evening to Jess as well, who might be able to get some strategy ideas. I know she did ask me what was the best strategy around France, and I gladly told her that every race I've commentated around France on this game, it has rained in. I can also say the last race that I commentated on around Portimao was atrocious weather conditions. Storm all the way through, full wet tyres all the way through. Hopefully we will get the weather more like what we're used to in the Algarve, more like what we'd expect in the Algarve. This circuit half an hour away from the Portimao city, which of course, the port city, which it shares its name with. Hopefully we'll get some nice weather conditions for all the drivers. I believe they are all in the lobby now, and we're just waiting for the final few to lobby up, ready up, so it should not be long before we get this qualifying underway. Don't forget, of course, there is the rest of the League of Europe action tomorrow night, 6:30 and 8:10 for the 5 divisions on the PlayStation, and then throughout the week we have got F2 and Endurance as well, even for everyone who does prefer a good old-fashioned 66-lap race. That Endurance one, always one to watch, and I feel later on in the season, around Monaco, could always be a fun one as well. So we've got some hopes here for Rafa to have a good race. Has had a podium and a DNF. Did get fastest lap last time out. Was looking good in the dry, just struggled slightly in the wet conditions. But hey, who didn't struggle slightly in the wet at France? Those long sweeping corners, similar to what we see and parts of this circuit as well, especially, well, I'd say especially towards the middle and the end of that lap, all the way through to coming out of turn 5, probably all the way towards the finish line. You have got some very fast, long sweeping corners that can make things quite tricky for the drivers, and that is always, as I was saying, always something that we're going to have to watch out for and see how things are going to go in this session. It won't be long then before we are heading into qualifying and seeing what the drivers can do, seeing what, like, again, what performances they can put in. So make sure you are supporting all of your favourites in the chat. As you can see, everyone not rushing out at the moment, as you would expect. 18 minutes of qualifying. They have got plenty of time to get themselves out onto the circuit. And we can see, I think, Marcus Towler, he's going to be heading out tonight in the Mercedes. He is a reserve driver, has reserved in the Ferrari for the last 2 weeks. And this is the thing with this league, you know, we do get great attendances. As you can see, we've had full grids for the last couple of weeks. This is the first time we haven't had a full grid, but the reserve drivers do generally get a chance, and especially if you are someone like Marcus, you normally that first reserve. So I'd say you've always got a very good chance of starring in the session. He's going to be the first driver heading out on the pit lane. None of that what you saw in challenges, of course, where they weren't allowed to cut the pit line. Cut the pit line here, you could find yourself getting a fairly hefty penalty. So I'm sure all the drivers will have to avoid that. I will get a link to the Discord in the chat in uno momento. If you do want to join. I don't believe, though, there are any spaces open yet. There may be later on in the season as different sign-ups come in, but I'm not sure there are any spaces available just yet. And as you can see, it is quite a tough grid indeed at this moment in time. So unfortunately, I'm not able to get an invite link up to the Discord. A few drivers heading out, including Dan's favourite, Rafa, out there on a set of the medium tyres. We do have a bit more of a spread out grid here compared to what you see on some leagues, so tend to get the same few drivers towards the front, even though, again, as I mentioned on promotional posts, top 4 drivers within, the top 5 drivers even, within 4 points at the moment. And Marcus Towler, who we're on board with at the moment, he's only 8 points off the championship lead. 26 points is the most anyone's got out of a possible 52 so far. Well, let's see what Marcus Towler can do then on this lap of the Portimao circuit as he now heads towards turn number 1 down this long straight. DRS open on the Mercedes, avoiding the traffic on the right hand side, heading towards turn number 1 in 6th gear, flowing his way through turn number 2, then one of the slowest corners on the track, turn number 3, short shifting just ever so slightly to try and get the best possible run up turn number 4. DRS open once again on the Mercedes as he now heads towards turn number 5. This sharp left-hander. Expect to see a few cars going side by side through there. Now just coming up the hill into 6 here, flat out through there, straight to the left-hand side of the track for the double right-hander at turn 7 and turn number 8. Trail braking, a real crucial skill here that all the drivers are going to have to get used to. Now flat out through turn number 9 and another double right-hander at 10 and 11. Stay as wide as possible through 10 to get the best possible line through 11. Flat out on the throttle through turn number 12. Amazing commitment, the downforce of these modern Formula cars, of course, changing for the 2022 season. Now coming through the final real corner in the dry conditions, but in the wet, this last corner, turn number 15, is definitely a test. And there's already a yellow flag, and I think that is Alec. He did say he was expected to spin, and unfortunately for Alec, that's gone wrong a bit earlier than he expected. Marcus Towler goes to the top of the timing charts, and I'm trying to see if we can just catch. I believe if we do go on board maybe with Marcus Towler, we might just catch. There we go, Alec in that Alpha Tauri on the right-hand side of that wall there. Not ideal whatsoever early on in this qualifying for Alec. He is out of the session and will not be setting a time. So there you can see the tyres everyone is on. Marcus Towler, fastest man at the moment. Miami has invalidated his run on the medium tyres. Rafa goes into second on a 119.6. We'll expect improvements, of course, even on a set of mediums from that, as we're now on board with Stake. 16th and the final finisher last time out, but hey, he did get to the end. Some of the others did not, of course, and there'll be a few drivers hoping to have recoveries from what were fairly poor performances last time out. I think one of them who did do a good performance in qualifying was Shazoo Brin. He's invalidated this lap, so we're not going to get to see what he can do this time. Sure, his second run, though, he will be absolutely gunning it, as now here comes Stake heading towards the finish line. DRS open, 118.3. Now, you might have just noticed there the ERS running out as he was on that approach to the finish line. It is a common thing that we're going to see around this circuit, as we'll have a look at Bogin's lap to see if he has a similar issue. You'll just watch the battery turn red on the left-hand side, and it will say deploy used. That happens more often on this track than you see on any others. But it didn't seem to affect Bogin, who goes fastest of everyone on a 1:16.051. You've really got to manage your ERS in the race. You've even got to manage it in the qualifying, which is not something you see happening too much. If we're being honest in league racing, normally you could just absolutely gun it in a qualifying session. As Rafa now heads towards the finish line, what's this going to be for him? First proper lap on the mediums. Fastest driver of everyone so far on the mediums, 1:17.3. So probably comparable to what we actually saw from Marcus Towler and Bogin. I imagine on a set of soft tyres he can slot himself in there as Kangokon goes into third place now. And Brin's just coming through that long sweeping right-hander of turn number 15. Pole sitter in round number 2 of the season. He makes a very late decision to dive it into the pits there. Carter Lundy, who got pole position in the first round of the season, he is in 4th place at the moment. Championship leader just going out on his first lap now, but with a third of the session gone, it is Bogin on the top of the time charts. Marcus Towler, 4/10 of a second behind, and then Kangokon, Cartalondi, and RJW Videos rounded out the top 5. Rafa, fastest man on the medium so far, in 7th place. Remains to be seen whether we will see him go out on a set of the soft tyres. But let's see what XL Wellho can do on his first run then. As I said, championship leader, 6th in the first round of the season at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, San Marino Grand Prix, of course, at Imola, at the French Grand Prix. Worked that strategy absolutely brilliantly with XL Merckx. Both of those drivers able to stay out there on a set of the medium tyres until the rain came. Fortunately for Wello, he didn't quite have the pace once the rain did come, and it was a bit of a lonely run towards second place, although I'm not sure he would mind too much, seeing as he did take the lead of the championship, and lonely runs towards second place throughout the season, I think would put you in good stead as well. But let's see what Wello can do coming around the final corner then. In that Williams, we have seen, of course, the first livery of 2022 today from the Haas team. Spoiler alert, it's almost identical to the livery that they had last year, as Wello now goes into 5th position. Then wearing that J. Cole did win in France in Division 3 last week. He did get some, he's actually had double points so far this season. 10th and 11th here on the PCT. Our fastest lap as well at Imola. As you can see there, a couple of cars heading back into the pit lane. We have got one of the drivers making his first appearance tonight, and that's not what you want to be doing when you're shown on stream for the first time this season on the PC side. Matthias just getting it slightly wrong there, coming out of the, I believe that was coming through turn number 13, so he's going to head into the pits as well. We've already seen one retirement from the session, and that is Alec. He will be starting outside the top 10, so we'll get a fresh choice of tyres. But on the next game, that is not going to be a thing. It was a bit of a rule that was sort of missed during the week, a bit of a change in Formula 1, but that rule is being scrapped for this current season, for the 2022 season. Whoever starts in the top 10, you don't have to start on the tyres that you qualified on in the second qualifying session. So all these great drivers that we know that are good at getting that alternate strategy working, I'm not going to name any names because they're all far superior than me no matter what strategy they are on. You're going to have to try something different, and that might just mean if you're in the lower part of the top 10, you've got more chance of scoring points. If you're in the higher part of the top 10, you've probably got less. Most of the drivers, though, have done their first one. One of the drivers, though, who's going to be his first... Oh, Marcus Towler, clearly just creating his own circuit there. We didn't see as much of that at France as we thought we were going to see, but Marcus getting it wrong on this run in qualifying then, so he's just going to dive it back towards the pits. Half the session remaining. Bogin, Marcus Towler, XL Merckx, your top 3 drivers at the moment, as we have got Brin on a hot lap. Ooh, bit of a snap of oversteer there, just coming on the exit of turn number 6. Brin's car looking very unstable at the rear end. That Alfa Romeo looks like it needs a bit more downforce, a bit more traction, a bit more something at the moment. Not planted whatsoever. Can't get the near 1,000 horses from that Ferrari power unit onto the tarmac as easily as he would like. Yet to set a time in this session, and he has generally been near the front in both of the races. I know there's still a long way to go, but we've had drivers like Marcus, like Brin, probably like Kangokon as well, that have been near the front in both of the races. so far. Rafa's done okay in the 2 he's taken part in as well. Obviously, Cartalondi's only done 1 so far. Bryn crosses the line, goes into 5th place. That 1:16.4, getting very crowded at this moment in time. Marcus Towler 1:16.449. Bryn, who we've just seen do a lap 1:16.491. Cartalondi not far off either. 5 drivers within a tenth of a second, but then you go further back, there is quite a gap indeed. Everyone is now starting to head out on a set of the medium tyres. I think they've all given up on this getting into the top 10 on a set of the softs, which might well be a very wise manoeuvre indeed, as XL Miami just about to head towards the finish line. What's he going to do? His first lap in anger in the Aston Martin. Goes up into 7th, 1:16.6. Not far off pole position so far, but no one has actually been able to challenge Bogin at the moment. We've not seen anyone get up there. I do think Rafa's going to be one to watch, as Bogin does go even faster, in fact. 1:15.723, snaps 3/10 of a second off of his fastest time. The Alpine driver making his, I believe, and please no one count me on this, but I do believe this is actually his debut tonight, this season, as a reserve driver. It could be one of those again, like round 1 of the season, but we do see a reserve putting a really good performance, as Rafa, a bit like what we saw with Bryn, really struggling to get the traction down. Again, Ferrari power unit just proving to be a bit squibbly in the rear end of what would normally be a back marker car, but of course here in LOE, as with most leagues, it is equal performance. But what can Rafa do then as he heads towards the finish line in the Haas? Doesn't look like he's going to be challenging towards the top this time. Only goes up into 11th place. Only found half a second on that set of soft tyres, so not sure. He hasn't got the ERS to go for another run, so not sure whether he made a mistake anywhere on that lap. I know we did see quite a big slide from him. I think there's definitely more pace to go. XL Merckx, last week's race winner, has got himself up into 4th place. We've got another driver who's making a debut this time out, and it's XL Black Panther. Missed the first couple of races. A very talented PC racer indeed. Ferrari currently in 12th at the moment. Let's just follow him on this lap and see what he can do. He has got a bit of a traffic behind him, but I don't think that'll be too much for him to worry about at this moment in time. That is a McLaren. I believe that'll be KangoCon, who has just finished his lap. He's got himself up into 5th. So again, familiar names starting to come in. Does look like a very sedate, chilled lap at the moment from Black Panther. Doesn't look like he's really gunning it round. Well, he's not taking it massively easy. It's not like he's really hustling that Ferrari like we've seen some other cars be hustled around here. So I think this might just be a bit of a cool-down lap for Black Panther before he does make his way back into the pits. We'll check what his sector time is here, but he's not really lighting it apart. And yeah, there we go. 3 seconds slower. Definitely a cool-down lap for him. One man who's not on a cool-down lap, though, XL Matthias. We did solve early on. Did not manage to set a time on his first run. He's invalidated on this one as well. So easily done around this circuit. Any late safety cars, you could really be at risk of getting some big time penalties. Not long to go then in this qualifying session. 5.5 minutes just under. And Bogin is still out on top by a colossal 7/10 of a second from Marcus Towler. He's tied with XLJ Col on that time. Not in real F1, it works on who set the time first, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows this. I believe on F1 2020. Whoa! Matthias going for a bit of lawn mowing there. You need to be careful about doing that on this circuit. If it spits you off, as you can see, you can get a massive corner cutting penalty. Or if you're really unlucky in the race, could even manage to get yourself disqualified. In this qualifying session, don't think we're going to see too many problems with that, as Sniper Owens has got it wrong. But yes, as I was saying, Marcus Towler will likely be faster by tens of thousandths of a second. The game in the background does try to measure to that accuracy, so that could explain why he's ahead of XLJ Col at the moment, as that Sniper Owens now just going for a bit of spin, almost like he had been sniped there on the rear tyres, just sending the car spinning around, coming out of turn number 8. We said it's going to be a common theme tonight, seeing loads of drivers facing the wrong way, and they're definitely not disappointing. We have got the first man just heading out for his final run, and that is Stake on an outlap at the moment. He's just heading out onto the circuit now. Is Stake in his Red Bull? His full-time teammate is not here tonight, and he's in fact the only Red Bull driver, and that was Ollie, who, another driver, after a bad first round, managed to recover at France. So early on in the season, still so many rounds to go. Don't know who's going to be heading towards the top of the timing charts at the moment. We have got someone on a hot lap, though, but he's already invalidated it. Most likely coming into turn 1 has Shazoo Bryn. So down in 6th at the moment. Only needs to find less than half a second and get himself onto the front row of the grid. But I think he'll be hoping to find a whole lot more with that. Let's see what Stake can do in this Red Bull then. Can he get himself up into that top 10? He's currently 1.6 seconds off it, so he needs to find a lot of time around this track. Car just breaking away from him at turn number 4 there. Just a bit of a slide over the white line. You see how easy it is to invalidate around this circuit. So Stake, the drivers, and it is a common theme around a lot of circuits on this game. You see it at Silverstone as well. You've got to have a very nervous car to be a fast car. If you don't have a nervous car, you can be in all sorts of problems with the timing. So that may be why Stake just finding it a bit difficult, as we saw earlier on with Rafa, as we've seen from Bryn as well on these laps. Just pushing the limits of what the car can do at this moment in time and finding it extremely difficult indeed. Bryn's about to finish that warm-up, well, unaccidental warm-up lap and go on to his next one. Rafa is improving. He's found a third of a tenth of a second as he comes through the first sector. He's only a tenth of 10th place at the moment, but with that alternate strategy tyre rule, the alternate strategy can work very well around here. I have seen many a driver start outside the top 10 and get themselves onto the podium. If Rafa stays in 11th, I don't think he would be too upset. Although I get a funny feeling, knowing him, knowing his pace, he'll be gunning to get as high up the order as possible. Not challenging the apex too much. Coming through turn number 11 there, flat out through turn number 12. He's got a Ferrari ahead of him. That will be the, not quite sure which one that will be. It'll either be RJW or Black Panther, of course. Both of them in and around the top 10 at the moment. Black Panther just outside, 2 tenths slower than his teammate. Rafa comes through the final corner, hugs the right-hand side a bit more this time than he did on his previous run. What's it going to be? Gets himself up into 8th. A quarter of a second improvement. That is very likely the last lap we are going to see then from Rafa. Bryn has found plenty of time. 4 tenths of a second at the moment from the Shazoo man. This could be make him the second man to get into the 1 minute 15s. Last week's pole sitter yet to get any points this season. He'll really be hoping to kickstart his season today. Can he take pole position in the Alfa Romeo? No, he cannot. Still quite a ways off that time from Bogan, but still a very respectable one indeed. Puts him onto a 1:16.0 with big gaps around him. Second place at the moment for Bryn. I think we will obviously be seeing plenty of drivers improve. J-Con has just started a hot lap. Kango Con 2 tenths up through the middle sector in the McLaren. Got a podium in round 1 of the... Well, got a podium, yeah, in round 1 of the season with second. 8th place last time around. He's invalidated the lap here, so he won't be getting any further up in the order. Just gets out of the way of RJW videos. We are seeing all sorts of drivers have trouble at the moment. Marcus Towler hasn't improved on his first one. See if he can improve on his second one then. He's slightly down coming through the first sector. And another one with a big slide, but he's a quarter of a second up at the moment. Needs to find 2 more attempts if he wants to get himself on the front row. Bit deep coming through turn number 13. And I think those rear tyres are just saying, hold on, sunshine. I've not got anything more to give. And yeah, there we go. Marcus Towler off in the wall. Really frustrated with how the car was handling in that final part of the circuit. Stiper owns down in 16th, yet to set a time. This is going to be possibly his one and only run in the session. And it's not looking like it's going to be challenging the fastest. Goes into 14th now, just ahead of Stake. Checkered flag is out in this session. Exel Merckx, he's invalidated his one. J. Cole then, he's going to be the next one towards the line. Are we seeing an improvement from J. Cole in the Aston Martin? He gets himself up into 3rd place. Marcus Towler dives it into the pit lane. Who else have we got heading out on there? Kasu gets himself up into 9th. We've had a Ferrari go off at the final corner. I believe that was Black Panther, so he's not going to be starting anywhere. He's starting his first race of the season at best from 14th place. We have got an improvement here though from Cartalundi. I believe Welho has got his timing completely wrong. He's just coming through the final corner now. He's not going to be setting a lap whatsoever, so Welho is in big trouble here. Cartalundi in the Mercedes. Can he get himself up onto the front row of the grid for the second time this season? Yes, he can indeed. 700ths of a second faster than Bryn. He is onto the front row at the moment. It hasn't said Wello was finished. I wonder if he is actually going to be able to start his lap. And we've had that old little timing glitch happening here. I'll be very surprised. He should not be able to, as Bogan goes even faster in this session. He's absolutely flying it around at the moment. Miami to try to get himself into the top 10. Does indeed. Gets himself in 8th place. Rexel Miami. Both Aston Martins have been in points in both races so far. Starting in the top 10. They've got a brilliant performance this time. We've got some support here from Peter Staukelec just saying Forza Bogin. Forza indeed fastest at the moment by 3/10 of a second. And yeah, Wello joining late in the session. He's just having this little extra lap that he's been able to do here. What is Wello doing at the moment? We're going to have to wait and see. Doesn't look like he's going to be challenging towards the fastest time. He's only 6/10 off the second row at the moment. So technically not allowed to set up the gap because of all the stuff that is happening. As I've just had some very interesting news in the chat. My secret agent in the lobby has just given me some very interesting news as Wello gets himself up into 4th place, but does have that spectre of a penalty hanging around over him. But it is Bogin then absolutely dominant in this qualifying session. 1:15.700, over 3/10 of a second faster than everyone. Carter pole sitter and race winner at Imola. He's 3/10 off, but is in a fantastic place to take the lead in the championship. A reminder, him and Merckx only 1 point off Wello at the moment. Bryn is in 3rd. He'll be hoping for another good start. Wello, J. Cole, Marcus Towler, Merckx, Kango Con, Miami. Rafa in 10th. Kasu, RJW, Bloodwinds, Black Panther, Sniper and Stake will get a free choice of tyres. As will Matthias, who didn't set a lap time, and Alec having that crash early on. That is pretty much it then. For this qualifying session, the cars will be kicking their way out on track in about 5 seconds. And if the race goes like that, you've got to say the reserve driver, Bogin, is looking very handy indeed. As it does not look like we're going to get too much happening at the moment. Things are staying... oh, there we go. I was about to say things are staying very frozen and not a lot is moving. But all of a sudden, you just believe things can happen. So that is Bogin on pole position for the first time in his first race this season. Carter starts alongside him in 2nd place. Bryn is in 3rd. Very spread out field here. 6/10 of a second from pole position back to our championship leader, Wello, in 4th place. J. Cole is in 5th. Marcus Towler is 6th. Merck, last week's race winner, was good in the wet. He was 7th. Kango Con is 8th. Miami 9th. Then Rafa, Kasu, RJW, Bloodwind, Black Panther, Sniperone, Stake, and Matthias and Alec not setting a lap time. And I can exclusively reveal to you folks, we are going to get some rain in this race. And there are at least one driver out there, maybe a few others, running a compromised setup. So we are going to get rain, ladies and gentlemen. And that always spices things up. Means we're going to get no DRS. Means that qualifying could be oh so more important. I've seen quite a few wet races on this game. We know it makes it a lot harder to overtake. Around this circuit, you do normally only really get that one overtaking opportunity. Down towards turn number 1. Not a heavy braking zone at all. If you are feeling brave enough, you can maybe even think about an overtaking opportunity into turn number 5. But you have got to be very brave indeed, especially in the wet conditions. It is going to be even more so tough for some of these drivers as they are just readying up now. And I can tell you, as you'll see in a few moments' time, it is raining cats and dogs out there. Less Formula 1 conditions, more America's Cup conditions, more tell Noah to get his arc ready. It is teeming it down with rain here on the Algarve, folks. I feel like spending all this time talking about nice weather at the start may have jinxed us ever so slightly with what we're going to get. Rain spices up the race. It definitely does. Definitely makes it harder for the drivers as well, I think, in the wet conditions. Can always be quite tricky once you do get the wet conditions, just to get everything working nice and correctly around the Portimao circuit. 4.653 miles, 2.891 kilometers, 15 turns with the 2 DRS zones that we're not going to see much use of today. An extremely undulated circuit that the drivers are going to find very tough indeed. As you can see, you can just see what tyres everyone is on at this moment in time. Full wets for everyone, and we expect it to stay that way for the majority of the race, at least with the rain. Not sure how heavy the rain is going to be. for the entire race, but we are expecting it to rain for the majority of the race, and this is a very, very spread out formation lap. Here is Bogin just exiting the turn number 12, way down at the back of the order. You've got Matthias, who must have had a spin or something on his lap. He's only just making his way through turn number 8, so Bogin's going to be on that front row of the grid with extremely cold rear wet weather tyres, of course, the full wet tyres. And if it stays like this for the rest of the race, we may well see drivers go for a no-stop strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, we may well see no stops from all of these drivers. Stake and Stiperones have been disqualified from the session, so they're also going to be starting on extremely cold tyres. But it is Bogin leading, Cartalundi in second place, the man who was just untouchable in the wets last time out. The man third in the championship at the moment, Excel Merck, starting in 7th place. If he can work his way to the order, he will take the lead. He can take the championship lead here. So can Cartalundi, so can Wellho, so can KangoCon, so can RJW Videos. If any one of them wins the race, they'll be coming away from round number 3 with the championship lead. So it is Merck on pole position. The final couple of cars then you see there in the background just starting to get into position as we wait for the lights to come on. Bogin with the clear view, the view everyone wants to see, of course, in these conditions. He won't have to worry about any spray as long as he can get off the line cleanly, as we've got 5 lights here at Portugal. And we're underway for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Straight away, Stiperones and Stake have got a jump start. And it's a terrible start from Cartalundi as well. Great start from Bogin. He's in the lead. Bryn in second place as he's going to try and go all the way around the outside of Cartalundi. Can't quite make that one work. So it is still Bogin. Then it is still Cartalundi and Bryn battling side by side, and Bryn's around. Bryn is around. There's been a crash there as well. Someone's got some damage. That's one of the Williams, I think, who has managed to get caught up in that disaster. For Bryn, he said, I've gone for a bit more of a wet setup here. I think he's just checking to see if he's got any damage on his car. But it is Bogin now clear from Cartalundi. J. Cole and Marcus Towler battling extremely hard in the early stages of this race. Just trying to see if anyone did get any damage or whether the ghosting system worked as predicted, as Casu. He's been disqualified from the session for going the wrong way. And I did say that was very easy to do around this circuit. So we've already lost one of the cars. Casu is out of the race. He's not even made it. Well, he's only just made it past the first sector when we've seen him get disqualified. But a brilliant start from Bogin. He takes the lead. Cartalundi in second. J. Cole in third. That yellow flag, of course, just for the DQ'd car of Casu. Not what he'd have wanted. He did not finish at Imola. Didn't take part last week. Didn't even make it around the first lap here. But his teammate is in 10th place at the moment. Just get the position changes up for the first laps of the race. Wellho losing 6th place as Bryn losing 9, Black Panther losing 3. Biggest winner was Bloodwinds. Everyone obviously on fresh set of wet tyres. As Bogin setting the fastest lap of the race, about 16, 17 seconds slower than what we saw earlier on. I think it says all you need to know. And that is the penalty situation. Stake and Stiperones will both have to come into the pits in the next few laps to serve that drive-through penalties. I believe Stake is into the pits now serving his. Black Panther also coming into the pits. At the end of lap 1 then, Bogin in the lead from Cartalundi, J. Cole and Marcus Towler. Here comes Bryn then, trying to work his way up the order. He's dropped down to 12th place. That will get you a point. Top 12 get points in this series, and he does send one down the inside very bravely, I must say, on the side of RJW Videos, and it looks like he's made that move work. So he's up into 11th place now. Good performance from the Alfa Romeo. Watch out for him in this race. He's going to have to do a lot of moves on track, but that is optimistic to see that it is possible to get some overtaking in car number 88, which we did see in an Alfa Romeo this year, of course, when Kimi Raikkonen contracted COVID and Robert Kubica got to take part in a few other races. I do wonder whether we'll ever see him in Formula 1 again, the Polish driver. So it is Bryn in 11th place at the moment. Cartalundi still trying to stay on the back of Bogin. They are building quite a massive gap to the cars behind him at this moment in time. There is a long, long way back from Bogin and Cartalundi. Setting the fastest lap of the race that time, 129.562 for Carter, and he is right underneath the rear wing of the Alpine there. Just can't do anything about it. Marcus Towler likewise on the back of J. Cole. Said it earlier on, turn 1 is difficult to overtake around here. And that car is snapping all over the place. Rafa, the first driver to get a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. Might not see a safety car here. There is a vast amount of runoff area. Unfortunately for Rafa, he's been using it too much, getting himself that 3-second time penalty as Marcus Towler closes up under braking, locks up. You'll see plenty more of them in these conditions as he closes up to the back of J. Cole, but just stays in that position for now. Just stays in 4th place as the rain teams down here at Portimao. I know there's still a long way to go, but if the race did finish now, Cartalundi would be taking the championship lead, and Welho would be dropping down, I think possibly even down to 4th, maybe even 5th in the championship, with Marcus Towler, Merckx and Kangocon being ahead of him at the moment. Still though, plenty of time. We'll have to see what different strategies all of the drivers go on for here. Everyone on that set of wet tyres, and I believe that will be the quickest thing to stay on unless we see it dry out later on in this race. Rafa's starting to lose contact to XL Miami. It is getting spaced out 6th, 7th and 8th. It's definitely not spaced out though between Rafa and Bloodwinds at the moment. You can just see he manages to pull away on the straight as he is now just closing in again as... Oh, Rafa's round! Big spin on the pit straight from Rafa. Can he keep it out the wall? He can indeed. Major code brown, I think, there from Rafa. Very good job to keep it out of the wall. He's going to drop down into 13th place behind his teammate Alec, just a bit too far behind. That importantly though, for his race at least, that importantly does free Bloodwinds. So we'll see whether he can get onto the back of Miami, and we'll see whether he can then overtake and maybe get a bit further up this train. Marcus Towler all over the back of J. Cole. Not able to do anything at the moment. I think he's gone ever so slightly deep. That's going to allow XL Kangocon to get all over the back of him as well. I did see this on the last race I did around Portimao. There was a lot of drivers battling, sometimes 20, 30 laps of the race before they could get the moves done. As I think Black Panther, he's had an issue coming through the final corner. Has the Ferrari drive? Oh, that's an interesting entrance to the pit lane. But yeah, the Ferrari driver does make it back into the pits. He's going to be trying, I think, something different. Maybe just fixing some damage as Bryn becomes the next man to get himself a time penalty. And he's out of the race. Bryn out of the race. He's gone off here. That is coming out of turn number 11. We don't know whether we'll get to, unfortunately, see where the car is. He's gone a long way off the circuit there. We'll just follow around, see if he's still there by the time we get round to it with Cypherones. Just watch out for the left-hand side of the track as Bogan now sets the fastest lap of the race. I think Cartalundi has had a spin coming through the final corner. The man in second place has had a spin, so a lot of drivers finding it tricky at the moment. Bryn is out of the race. And this is going to be something to watch out for. He is getting a lap down at the moment. XL Black Panther, intermediate tyres. Judging by the standing water, judging by how much he's sliding out of turn number 4, and judging by the fact that delta between him and Stake is growing 10th by 10th by 10th, that is a brave call. In these conditions, that is a very brave call from Black Panther. And I don't want to be harsh, but sometimes there's a fine line between bravery and recklessness. And I think he may just be stepping on the wrong side of the line at the moment. He's really finding it difficult. There's been a swap between the two Haas cars. Rafa's got himself back into the top 10 ahead of Matthias. RJW Videos, he's worked his way up as well. He's now into 12th place. As we've already lost 2 cars. Kazu retiring on lap 1 of this race. And then Bryn retiring and saying the car felt so bad. I think a lot of drivers have been struggling with oversteer. I'd be very surprised if Bryn's not the only man to lose it. No points so far this season. Surely, with his pace though, we are going to see him get better results and possibly even podiums and wins. Maybe even starting as early as next week. Things though have closed down for 2nd, 3rd and 4th at the moment. It is still J. Cole now in 2nd place, 4.2 seconds ahead, well, behind of Bogan, who's got that big advantage after Cartalundi spun. He got very lucky to avoid hitting the wall, and Cartalundi is actually on the back of XL Merckx here. You'll notice a lot of the drivers do have that yellow fuel lights. For those of you who are familiar with the F1 game, you'll know that what that is. For those of you who aren't familiar with the F1 game, that means that at the current level of fuel, they are not expected to get to the end of the race. So they will have to do some fuel saving. Easier to do generally in the wet conditions. But if you do start wheel spinning the tyres, it is not so easy. As I wondered then for a second whether we were going to see Cartalundi just be brave and think about a move. But no. Decides to stay in that 6th position for now. It looks pretty clear to me that he has got the pace on XL Merckx. It is just, as we've seen, where can you use that pace to make any moves around this circuit? Lap number 6 of the race. Bogin, J-Cole, Marcus Dowler, Kango Con and Merchel top 5. And then it is this man, Cartalondi, in 6, trying to recover from an earlier spin. Almost sending it down the inside at turn number 12. That might give him a bit of a run here, but this is turn number 12. Merckx on a much, much worse line here. Brilliant cutback from Cartalondi. Superb driving from him. He takes 5th position as we have had another car having a spin, and that is Stake. And oh, Matthias now off the circuit. Matthias has lost it, and that is a full safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Do you see drivers come into the pits for a fresh set of the wet tyres? We're going to see... Oh, we are. Thought Jacob was coming in there. He just solved the dummy, but Kango Con into the pits. Fresh set of the wet tyres. Majority of the field are staying out there. Yeah, so these tyres will be slightly... Oh, they're not wet. They are not full wet tyres. He is gambling here. XL Kango Con, clearly, I've got to think that the rain's getting lighter as the race goes on. XL Kango Con, set of intermediate tyres. Championship leader Wellho coming in as well. And the blue liveried Williams is going for some blue sidewall tyres. He's coming in for a fresh set of full wet. So the drivers, clearly a bit of confusion here of what the best strategy is to go on. Kango Con comes out in 11th place. He's going to come out in some traffic. I think he's going to have to pit again. But if this strategy works, and if it does turn into intermediate conditions in the next 1 or 2 laps, he could be in an absolutely superb position to maybe, just maybe, take a victory on this race. Lap number 7 then, and it is Bogin, J. Cole, Marcus Towler, Cartalondi, XL Merckx, Miami, Bloodwinds, Rafa, RJW, Alec, Kango Con, Wellho in the points. Sniper owns Stake and Panther outside. Matthias retirement causing a safety car. We saw Bryn spin it earlier on. And Kasu getting disqualified as Bogin has now got that Mercedes safety car in front of him. This could be another couple of laps. In that time, it could dry out, but it's still to me, looks like full wet conditions. You just saw a little bit there of Bogin accelerating hard. Again, coming out of the corners. As, needs to be careful doing that in the wet conditions. Just trying to burn off a bit of fuel. So he's clearly got some extra fuel on board. With no rich mix on this game, you can't burn it off in that method. So Bogin going for something slightly different just to try to burn that fuel off. It is a tactic we'll see plenty of drivers doing, as they are now starting to close up behind the safety car. Wellho, who's clearly pushing hard to get up to the back of the safety car. He's already just earned himself a 3-second time penalty, as we will check what the penalties are. 3 seconds for Rafa, Wellho, Stake and Black Panther. At this moment in time, Black Panther having done 2 pit stops, still out on that set of the intermediate tyres. He is a lap down. He's in the middle of this traffic, and he'll have to stay there until the safety car comes in. There will not be any sending him around or only sending him past a certain number of cars. He will have to stay in the middle of this pack, which might cause some issues once the safety car comes in. But he could be one to watch to see how well he gets his way up the order. Didn't look like he didn't lose too many places compared to everyone else, but definitely looked like he was losing a lot of time, which still suggests to me that we aren't at a set of intermediate tyre conditions yet, and that would be bad news for Kango Con, who felt a bit aggrieved, shall we say, last week. Had some contact with Jake Finch. Jake getting himself a 10-second time penalty, which shoved him down from 5th position down into 10th. Jake was involved in plenty of action last week. And I'm not sure if it's because they're going at a slower speed and I'm wanting it to be lessening with the rain, but that's definitely not raining as hard as it was earlier on. We're definitely seeing less rain. I don't think Kango Con and Black Panther, if it does, say, turn into full intermediate conditions, I don't think they can get to the end on this set of intermediates. I think they would have to pit at the latest lap number 28, lap number 29. I think ideally be wanting to pit round about 21, 22 to get a fresh set of the intermediates. They do not wear as much, but you will not get a full race distance on a set of intermediates, as we are going to still get another lap behind the safety car. We are waiting Stake to catch up to the lap, and that just leaves it an extra 2 minutes or so for the track to dry out ever so slightly. Every lap behind the safety car does give Kango Con and Black Panther a better chance of getting these tyres to the end, but also gives the track a more chance to dry out. We have got that drier line. There's a few cars are coming into the pits now. A few more are thinking, do you know what, it is intermediate conditions, and they are willing to sacrifice a lot of track position. Cartalundi then the lead one of them into the pits, and all of a sudden, this strategy for Kangokon, a lap or two ago, looked a bit reckless. Now it looks like it may be absolute genius from the McLaren driver. In 6th position, on a fresh set of the intermediate tyres. Wellho's come in again. So his decision early on to stay out, definitely not looking like the smart one. Well, his decision to come in and put on another set of the wet tyres, not looking like a smart one for our championship leader. He is down in 14th place at the moment. But the strategy might just have swung things in the favour of Kangokon here. They were clearly, I imagine they were getting the call either from any strategist they've got. Maybe if you were Bloodwinds, you were getting the call for your teammate. I think everyone else must have been getting the call from Jeff that it was intermediate conditions and now was the time to possibly do something about that. But lap number 6 then, lap number 9 I should say, the man in 6th place, looking pretty handy to maybe possibly take a win here if he can get those intermediate tyres towards the end of the race. If not, he's still going to have to pit again. Cartalundi down in 9th place, might be able to get those as he tries to close his way up to the back of the pack, tries to burn that tiny bit of extra fuel, and these will have done a lap at more racing speed than what we've seen a lot of the others do for a while. So they'll know what the track conditions are like. They'll know where the grip is, especially through the first few corners, as it's all up to Bogan now to lead the pack around after the safety car. You can see Virtual Burnt Mylander just coming around the final couple of corners. When does Bogan put the hammer down? Can J. Cole follow him? Will we see any of these drivers think straight away? Now might be the time for the intermediate tyres. It still looks very wet off of the line, but there is definitely that drier line appearing on the racing line. You don't really see wet lines being taken too much on this game, as Sniperones and Kangokon get a 5-second penalty. If they have to pit, they will have to serve that penalty. Bogan leaving it quite late, as long as you don't accelerate quite erratically. We are seeing him go here, and J. Cole and a few others have come into the pit, so this is a brilliant restart. Cartalundi has got a drive-through penalty for collision with Stake. He's had to come straight into the pits as well, but it is Bogan leading. Rafa down the inside. Sniperone's just getting well out of the way of everyone else. Not sure if he's got damage, not sure if his wet tyres have just given up. Cartalundi retires in the pits then, so it is Bogan leading from now. Rafa, who sweeps his way past Miami. It is clearly drying off for a set of the intermediate tyres. Miami is going to get passed by Kangokon here. Just look at the grip on the brakes from the McLaren driver around the outside. He tries it, can't quite make it work. Does second time around though on the traction. And that's Kangokon up into 3rd place. Miami's down in 4th. We're just going to see him plummet down the order here. Be interested to hear from Carter about what caused that penalty. Seems a bit harsh when everyone else was getting 5 seconds for him to get a drive-through penalty. I think different cars coming into the pit lane with, and it wasn't his prerogative, with the late restart from Bogan just causing some issues. As look at Alec all over the back of Stake. Alpha Tauri versus Red Bull, the sister teams. I don't think there's a lot Stake's going to be able to do here, and I am extremely impressed he was able to hold on to that and maybe work his way ahead. He's going to... Oh, contact, both in the barriers. And that is just a bit unfortunate for Alex. Stake loses the car, and in the process sends himself and the AlphaTauri towards the wall. Rafa's into the lead of this race. Kangokon in 2nd. There comes Bogan into the pit. So much pace earlier on. Just getting caught out in the conditions. Fastest lap of the race from Rafa, but he's got Kangokon all over the back of him as we start lap 11. RJW's up into 3rd, and similar to what we saw at Imola, the Ferrari's doing a very good job on penalties at the moment. Do take that penalty situation. He's got none. Rafa's got 8 seconds. Kangokon's got 5. They'll serve them in the pits. Wello all of a sudden, he's up into 4th place, and I think that is Bogan just heading out onto the track again. Alec gets a penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Those are the tyres everyone is on. It is all kicking off here, and Stake, he's trying to hold on those wets. There's not even the puddles offline all of a sudden. They are going to be overheating extremely rapidly, I think it's fair to say. I mean, just look at this. He's losing out all over the place. He's going to be able to defend from J. Cole, who's just going to sweep round the outside. Stake a bit of a mobile chicane at the moment. Ooh, getting very close with Marcus Towler there, who's just going to be able to get the grip out the corner. So Marcus Towler up into 7. Merck's going to work his way through as well, past Stake, and I think Bogan's going to be there as well. Yeah, all just started to go wrong for the sole Red Bull in this race. He's going to pit this lap, and possibly he's going to come out behind Alec, who did have quite a bit more front wing damage. I think Stake, in the end, has got away with one. Great battle, though, for the lead of this race. We're only a third of the way through. Who knows what the final two-thirds are going to do here. But Rafa much, much slower off that corner from Kangokon, having to try and break the toe. Down on the run towards turn number 1. Is he going to be able to do anything about it? And turn number 1, as we've seen so many times, is just not a big enough braking zone to be brave enough to make a move. Rafa's lost it completely. Almost holds the car. Almost ends up wiping out Kangokon. And he thanks the Lord for the ghosting system. But Rafa spins it round, coming out of turn number... Well, it was sort of coming around turn number 2 where he started losing the car. Turn number 3 when it finally went. And that is Rafa down into 5th place. Lucky that the field is as spaced out as it is. And he will be able to recover that. Has got the penalties though at the moment. That is going to make things quite difficult for him as Merckx got ahead of Marcus Towler. And it is now Kangokon in the lead of this race by 2.8 seconds. But with that 5-second penalty. This is the man who won last week. And the man who absolutely perfected the intermediate conditions. Started 7th tonight. Is still in 7th place. It's amazing given all what's happened in only the first 11 and a bit laps in this race. That we've still got 2 drivers who are where they started this. Biggest loser, apart from those who retired, you've got to say Bogan all of a sudden getting the strategy wrong, but RJW has called it absolutely perfectly. We are on board then with XL Merckx on the back of J. Cole. He's worked his way past Marcus Towler. Can he make his way further up the order as now Kangokon sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:26.408. No one else touch him. The 1:26s at the moment. That says a lot about how quick he is. I think we might just see him streak off into the different distance in a similar vein to what we saw this man do a week ago. Now Velo all over the back of RJW videos. Can he do anything about it? On the run out of turn number 4, Marcus Towler started to show some pace as well on these intermediate tyres. So the usual faces who are pretty quick, proving themselves again. And RJW, despite not, with the greatest of respect, perhaps not having the pace of some of these others, he always seems to be there or thereabouts. Provisionally got a podium in Imola until Rafa got a 5-second penalty removed, which he may be able to do again as long as he can get those tyres towards the end of the race. And I think for a few of these, getting those intermediates towards the end is going to be a tough order as State comes into the pit. Yeah. Now, lasting that long on the wet tyres was mistake number 1. I think heading out on a set of hards, and I know I'm just a humble commentator, may well be mistake number 2. From the chat in the Discord, rain was going to happen for the majority of this race. It is still raining, albeit nowhere near as much. But I can't see you getting anywhere near the grip you need on a set of hard tyres. And I think this is going to be a very long run back to the pits for Stake. And if you can get there without spinning, that would be an achievement in itself. But here, further up the order, still on the more conventional set of intermediate tyres, is J. Cole in 6th place. Mert behind him, Marcus Towler there, Bogan there, as Stake got all the way until the exit of turn number 4 before he lit up the rear tyres. I think I'd have probably ended up doing it straight out of the pit lane. He's going to have a very tough job heading back. And I think J. Cole is going to have a very tough job this race, just keeping everyone behind him. We've said it already. Not easy to overtake into turn number 1. You can, however, as I think Merckx almost lost the car there coming through turns number 2 and 3. And that is Stake, who was parked well out of the way of some of the slower traffic behind him and gets a very harsh 10-second penalty for corner cutting. I think if we're going to see any moves, they are going to be into turn number 5 as Stake retires out on track. So we're down to just 13 runners. Down to just 13 runners. We have lost 5 cars. All but 1 driver currently stands to get a point, and that is Black Panther down in 13th. Not on, I don't believe, as I'll just check very quickly, not on the lead lap. He is a lap down, so can't rely on a safety car to try to get himself further up the order. Needs to just rely on misfortunes for others, or still 28 seconds. Could very easily see him catch that up to the back of Sniper Homes. Again, quite spread out at the back of the field here in LOEPC. Not spread out at all in this battle for 7th place. Definitely not spread out in the battle for 2nd as well. It is Kangokon, XL Velo, and Bloodwinds at the moment. And Velo knows he needs to get himself up the order if he wants to retain this championship lead. If Kangokon wins and Velo finishes in 2nd place, that would be enough for the McLaren driver to take the lead of the championship. But still, it's only round 3 of the season. There's 14 more to go as Black Panther picks up another time penalty. And there's still 18 laps to go in, well, 19 almost to go in this race. Kango Con leading, and it's RJW and Velo, the rest of the drivers on the podium. That is the penalty situation, with still over half the race remaining. Now Marcus Towler looking very, very close through the back of XL Merch. Just turn number 4. And unless the car in front of you makes mistake, you can just see it's pretty much single file around this circuit. So, as the tyres change, and you can see here, he has actually got a bit of a run on... he has got a bit of a run here. Can he manage to make this move work? Down the inside into turn number 8. This is going to be a bit of a brave one, almost contact. And in the end, Merckx is able to hold on to the car, but... definitely put himself on notice there. That's allowed Jacob to just escape. Marcus Towler, we saw getting a very good run there as there's been a yellow flag further up the field. That must be Rafa that has had a spin. That is Rafa spinning it round. Again, a bit like we saw in qualifying, finding it very difficult just with the traction on that car. And now he's leading J. Cole. So an extra car gets added to this train, one that has got much hotter tyres. There could be an opportunity. He spent the last few laps looking behind him. Could be an opportunity all of a sudden here for J. Colt to start looking forward. ERS activated. He's going to try to close up to the back of Rafa. He's just got to hope that Rafa's tyres are still a bit hot and he's going to have to take it careful for the next few corners. But no, looks like he's got it all in hand for now. Rafa in 5th, J. Colt 6th, Merckx in. In fact, Rafa pulls out of the way ever so slightly, gets a 3-second time penalty. I'm sure he'd argue that he's lost time, but he is finding it again increasingly difficult. Keep that car on the circuit, and here comes J. Cole, who's just going to have a chance down the inside. He snuck a bit of his front wing alongside here, tries to do it on the brakes into turn number 5, goes the Aston Martin. I think he's going to have the traction on the corner. It's going to be a straight drag race between the Haas and the Aston Martin, getting very close together through the left-hander of 6, and somehow Rafa manages to hold on to the position, and he's really starting to hold J. Cole up. This might just be the chance that Merckx, Marcus and Bogan wanted all of a sudden to try and get their way forward, but Merckx almost losing the car, does lose the car, and loses the place to Bogan. That spin, well that half spin, seemed to start about 5 seconds before it finally ended. Very, very good car control, I must say, from Merckx to only lose one position, and very good reactions from Bogan to avoid what could have been a very big accident as well, as I think now Miami has got ahead of Marcus Towler, who must have missed it in that incident, but I think Marcus Towler must have had to take evasive. Oh, he's lost his front wing. Well, unfortunately, I think that must have happened with Merckx. Marcus Towler loses his front wing on the back of the Alfa Romeo. Luckily for him, it happened in the second half of the lap. He's going to come into the pits. Might just come out ahead of Alec. His tyres will definitely get towards the end on the intermediates, as long as they can avoid a speeding penalty. 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers per hour, the speed limit around this track, as J. Cole has finally got past Rafa. Bit of contact there, and that's going to give Bogan the chance that he wants to try and work his way through. You can see Rafa's trying his utmost to try and hold on here, down the inside into turn number 5. Bogan goes all the way around the outside, and he seems to have had a bit better traction in this race. And there we go, the car on the inside always seems to struggle on the exit of turn number 5 on the traction, perhaps not being the racing line, perhaps a bit more water there. That's making it tough, but that is Bogan up into 6th, doing a good recovery drive. Let's not forget, he was on pole position by 0.3 of a second. He was flying away at the start of this race, but choosing the wrong time, went too late on the intermediates as most of his rivals went under the safety car, and he lost chunks. That is why he's down in 6th at the moment, and that is why this man is leading the race. Kango 6.5 seconds ahead, as I think Bogan there was very close to stacking it into the back of J-Con. My goodness, that would have been a sight in the mirrors of the Aston Martin. I think we almost lost an Alpine's front wing there. He did get very close, did Bogan, but this is the first time for a few laps that J-Cole's actually got a bit of a breather from all the cars around him, as that's Rafa, who's around again at the final corner. I think he's maybe deciding that those tyres have had enough, and he's just going to bring it into the pits and see what he can do on a fresh set of the intermediate tyres, because I don't know whether it's for setup or anything, but this is just not working for him, as Alec has now had a spin and goes for another one. That's always a danger once you've heated up your rear tyres, that one spin tends to lead to another, but he's avoided the wall, and that's allowed Sniper Rounds to get ahead of him. Rafa is going to carry on, serves his 5-second penalty, goes on to Wow. Setting the medium tyres. Clearly feeling like he's not got a lot to lose. Clearly feeling like he's not got a lot of grip on the intermediates. But if I've been struggling to keep it facing the right direction on a set of the intermediate tyres, I'm not sure I'd all of a sudden want to put a set of slicks on. As you can see there, Marcus Towler just absolutely streaks past him. Might take a lap or two. But Rafa clearly thinks that this is worth the gamble for him. And, you know, who can blame him? Who can blame him for trying something different in this situation? He's kept it facing the right direction longer than Stake did on his set of slick tyres. But still, Rafa on the race into turn number 5 was about 1 second behind at the start of the straight. About 1.6, 1.7 behind as he goes through the traction zone. So, intermediates, clearly, still the way to go. Battle for second. RJW, XL Velho, Bloodwinds. Still in 4th position for now. McLaren leading to the Constructors' Championship. Mentioned earlier on, they are the only team to have both their drivers in the top 10 as Bogan down the inside at turn number 1 on J. Cole. The Aston Martin tries to hang it out. Can't quite do so. And is not able to follow through on the exit as well. Not getting the best exit. J. Cole run wide ever so slightly. Didn't get a penalty. Merckx ran wide a bit more. Did pick himself a warning and a penalty. That is J. Cole down into 6th place. Merckx going to try to follow through. We'll see the penalty situation here. Still 5-second penalty for Kango to serve if he pits again, as well as Alec and Miami. Everyone else has just earned theirs because of multiple track limit warnings. And I'd agree, it is a big gamble for Rafa. And to his credit, he's not lost as much as I thought he would. He's only lost, you could probably argue for the hot part of that lap, he's only lost about 3 seconds. I was expecting him to lose more. I think this race might just come towards him, and we might have to see a few more drivers come in for a set of slicks. Although that will possibly be softs at the end of the race. It's still too wet at the moment. You can just hear that Haas struggling, squealing its way through the corners as it tries to find any semblance of traction. And Rafa not too far from losing the car and not too far from losing out from Stiperones. I think in the next lap or two, we will see that Alpine get himself into the top 10. But Rafa, he's put all his eggs in this basket now. Clearly feels like he's not got too much to lose as long as he keeps it out of the wall. And clearly feels like it is worth a risk. Whether he's just gone too early, I don't think there's much debate about the fact that it is still intermediate conditions. J. Cole hanging on the back of Bogan then, about a second behind at the moment. Merckx must be sick to the sight of this Aston Martin rear wing. I'm not sure whether he has got the pace that he had last week in the intermediate conditions, but even if he has, he's just not able to show it at the moment, as that is Alec, who's lost it coming out of turn number 12 and has lost his front wing, as well as now J. Cole and Merckx battle side by side round the outside at turn number 7, inside line. Then for turn number 8, and that is Merckx able to take the racing line. Must have got a better exit than J. Cole, I imagine, coming out of turn number 5, and that is Merckx now up into 6th place. Still with that 3-second time penalty, so needs to get a bit of a move on. But we're starting to see these familiar names towards the top of the order again. Kango, Velho, Bloodwinds has been there all the time. Merckx looks obviously got a retirement in the first race of the season, but he's in 6th at the moment, and I think he's got the pace to pull that 3 seconds from J. Cole. We'll have to see whether he can get close to the back of Bogan as Alec comes into the pits, and he's also going for a set of slick tyres. It clearly looks like we are going to see dry conditions at the end of this race, and the drivers are just preempting that at the moment. Although you can see from Rafa's penalty and from the fact that he's just lost the place to Stiperones that it's not those conditions at the moment. It's still a couple of laps away, and he's about to go a lap down from our race leader, I think. So Rafa about to lose out to Kango, who has just disappeared ever since that safety car. I thought he pitted too early. I'm going to be honest, I'll hold my hands up. I thought he pitted too early. Clearly I got that one wrong. Clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. But Kango has called it absolutely perfectly here on the strategy. 9 seconds ahead, even with that 5-second penalty. He's not under any danger at the moment. RJW, another driver. A bit like Imola, when we get these chaotic races. France had rain, but it was actually probably the most straightforward race we've had so far this season. RJW, when we get these safety cars, always seems to make the right calls. He's in 2nd place at the moment. Doesn't have to worry about Wello behind him. Has to worry more about Bloodwinds. He got his first podium of the season taken off him in Imola as Rafa got a penalty removed, but it looks like he's definitely going to earn this one. Perhaps a dark horse to get some very good results throughout the season. He's going to have plenty of defending, though, I think, to do for the final few laps. And Velo, our championship leader, knows at the moment that championship lead is just slipping away. And on the back of RJW, he can't pull away from Bloodwinds either. So that's 6 seconds of penalties in 12 laps. He's going to have to go some to try and remove that. It is still raining here at 2/3 race distance in this race. And it is Kango Con in the lead. And this is the battle for second, third and fourth between the Ferrari of RJW and the Williams of Velho and the McLaren, also in XL, of Bloodwinds. Just see the cars at the moment. You can see the tread. Oh! Big slide from Well. I was about to say, you can see the treads just wearing out at the moment on those intermediates. You'll be able to see it more on a set of the rear tyres, especially when they are going slower. You do really get an indication of the interslicks, as the term was it the 2021 Turkish Grand Prix? Esteban Ocon going the entire race on a set of intermediates without pitting. I remember back in the Bridgestone days, Michael Schumacher was a bit of a specialist at taking a set of intermediate tyres until they were slicks and then just carrying on. And of course, that was back when they were grooved tyres. So some even said the intermediates might have had a bit more slick than a normal set of tyres here. But Wello's had a very slow run off that final corner. I don't think Bloodwinds is going to be close enough to challenge. No, just pulls out. Maybe a bit of a dummy. Maybe just perhaps cooling the engine. Cooling tyres on the bits of water that are around. It is still spitting with rain around this circuit. And as you can see, the gap between Rafa and Sniper Owens is still growing. It is still intermediate tyres. The question is now, can they all stretch their intermediates towards the end? A man who I don't think that is a worry for is Bogan. He's only done 11 laps on his intermediates. Miami and Sniper Owens have only done 10. Marcus Towler, who had to pit for a fresh set, he's only done 4. If he keeps driving like that, he might have to be pitting for another fresh set of the tyres. He is really pushing the life out of them at the moment. This looks more like a Lucas Blakely Monaco stream than a league race around Portimao for Marcus Towler. He's just enjoying himself. He's in plenty of free air. He knows the chances of him getting up the order are extremely slim, and I think he just needs to cool things a bit. Otherwise, he's going to have a very big moment. It's entertaining for the fans. I'm not so sure his team boss will find it entertaining. I think Toto Wolff's breaking a few desks right about now, watching that onboard. RJW coming up to lap the back of Rafa, and this is what we've said about this circuit. It's so hard to overtake in wet conditions around here. Turn number 1, even in the dry, is pretty tough, but the DRS does make it possible. Turn number 5, not a long enough straight. In the wet, it becomes the best conditions, but they've just not had that traction on the outside. We saw Rafa get passed by J. Cole there earlier, and also by Bogan, and that was with a bit of a pace differential. So the drivers are finding it tough to overtake. Although, in RJW's credit, he's never really looked like under any pressure from being overtaken at the moment. He's just looked very cool as Alec retires from the session. That is on the exit of turn number... That's on the exit of turn number 9, I believe. Just heading through... Well, yeah, just about to head through turn number 9, that is. You can see that Aston AlphaTauri, sorry, pulling well out of the way as Kango Con takes us through the final corners. DRS enabled. That might just be the last thing that RJW's wanted to see. DRS has been enabled. Music to the ears of Wellow. I think RJW has realised DRS has been enabled and has thought, right, I'm going to try to push to get this 1 second gap all of a sudden, or I'm going to be under some big pressure. Marcus Towler comes into the pits. He's taking that as a sign that we are ready for slick tyres. And if any set of slicks it's going to work, it's going to be those red-walled soft tyres. This could well change the race. Marcus Towler into the pits. He will lose out to Sniper Owens, but they're not losing as much time. Rafa's still finding it hard to sniper at the moment. I still don't think it's dry enough. But we are seeing some other leaders come in. Now it's Bloodwinds coming into the pits. If this gamble pulls off, we could see a McLaren 1-2 here, but Bloodwinds is into the pits. A, for his own good. B, as a bit of a information man for his teammate Kango Con. Smooth pit stop from the Woking boys. He's back out on track. Lap 25 of this race. He's going to have 9 laps to do on that set of tyres. J. Cole comes in as well. We're going to see a few drivers now, I think, come in for that set of the dry tyres. But what are they doing time-wise? Marcus Towler, he's gaining. There's no argument about that anymore. He is gaining, I think, despite the fact that, as you can see on the onboard, we are still getting some very light spits of rain. Race Direction clearly think it's good enough for a set of slick tyres. A lot of the drivers now think it's good enough for a set of the soft, slick tyres. And you can just see Marcus Towler is gaining on everyone. He might have a more exciting race at the end of this than what we thought. And surely now, everyone else is going to come into the pits. Bloodwinds might have just earned himself a McLaren 1-2. May well be seeing the first 1-2 of the PC season. It looks like we are going to get a third different winner of the season. As here comes his teammate, Kango into the pits then on lap number 25. Lap number 26, he just 6 over 2, so he's got 8 laps to last on this set of slick tyres. I'm interested to see how high up the order he's going to get because he has got that 5-second penalty to serve. Let's not forget. Bloodwinds is going to be... I don't think he's going to pass his teammate, but he's going to have closed the gap, I imagine, to about 5 or 6 seconds here. At worst. At worst. Perhaps just struggling through the first sector, but there goes Bloodwinds heading out onto the final corner. In fact, Kango Con is going to be plenty clear. There is the... there's an Alpine just coming out of the pits, but there we go. Kango Con in the lead of this race. RJW is still in second. No! Bloodwinds has made it work. That 1 lap extra on the set of the intermediate tyres has really cost RJW here. He's down into third place. Should still get a podium though, because as you can see, Velo has 6 seconds of penalties, as does Merckx. Marcus Towler on 9. Rafa on 12 and Black Panther on 12 as well. As I think J. Cole's managed to get his way back ahead of Bogin as well. Bogin all of a sudden... That's twice now. He's just pitted the lap too late for the correct set of tyres. Earlier on for the intermediates. That time around for the set of softs. As you can see here, just saying, I disqualified by Matthias taking me out. I spin the wrong way round. Did mention it in qualifying. That is always a risk on this circuit. That if you spin round at just the wrong point, you end up facing the wrong way on the wrong part of the circuit. The game thinks you've taken a shortcut. The game thinks you're driving the wrong way. You do get, unfortunately, an instant disqualification, and you very rarely get a second chance. But I think now we are going to see a bit more action in this race. Here is the championship leader. He's all over the back of RJW videos. No way is he going to try it round the outside of there. He's just going to wait for the DRS. This is one of the most straightforward passes you are going to see all day. Straight down on the straight. And there we go. Easy as you like. Velho up into third. Now... can he escape that crucial 6 seconds to get himself onto the podium? As we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That's Marcus Towler facing the wrong way, and that's going to allow Rafa to get ahead. Rafa now the only driver on a set of the medium tyres. So how much is that going to cost him as well? He dropped outside of the top 10 earlier. So great persistence, and just shows why you should never ever give up, because you never know what is just around the corner. RJW seems to be really struggling. I wonder if he put a bit more of a wet setup on, because he didn't have the pace in the dry in qualifying. Didn't look like he was struggling for pace in the wet earlier, but he's now in quite a bit of difficulty, as I think that is Miami who's had a spin coming through turn number 1. They're still pushing hard in these conditions at the moment. They're still trying to get their way up the order, but going offline, and especially if you go onto the AstroTurf, it is dangerous indeed. XL Merckx in 6th place then at the moment with 6 seconds of penalty, so he's got to get ahead of J. Cole. That's hard enough. He's even got to pull out a second a lap. That is nigh on impossible. Wellho, though, he's put out 2 seconds a lap on RJW at the moment in time. Bloodwinds now sets to Velo with a 118.9. Well, that is a very impressive lap indeed, and we might even see him got onto the back of Bloodwinds. But here comes Merckx round the final corner on the back of J. Cole. I'm not sure there's going to be a lot the Aston Martin can do here, as the Alfa Romeo sets the fastest lap of the race, goes for the inside line, and is able to take the racing line into the corner. That is Merckx up into 5th place. Now it's all about a time trial for him. He's got to break that DRS and has just got to escape, but it does look like he has got some extreme pace at this moment in time. Can Bogin follow through as easily as well, because that will just be for position. As it stands at the moment, Merckx would drop down into 7th place. J. Cole will get his best finish of the season, and Bogin from pole position, despite, I'm going to say it, despite getting the strategy wrong, which is very easily done in these conditions. We could see Bogin get himself into 6th place. We may still see him get a top 5, which would be A big achievement, I think, considering how things went earlier on in the race. Rafa versus Marcus Towler then. Medium tyres versus a set of the soft tyres. Neither of them having the races that they would have wanted. And I think this is going to have to be a miraculous defence from Rafa if he wants to keep the Mercedes man behind him. You can see him closing in there in the slipstream. DRS open on the back of Marcus Towler's car. Can he go down the inside into turn number 5? He's going to send one on the brakes there. Rafa sees it coming. Just a bit of a slide from the Mercedes, as we've seen so often on the inside. Now it's just a straight drag race between the two of them, and the Haas car holds on. Cut back from Marcus Towler. Can't quite get the move done. Now, regroup yourself. Just get that traction coming through into the final sector of the lap. He should be able to take a bit of a wider line here. He's going to get a better run coming out of, that was turn number 11, coming through turn number 12 here now for Marcus. Might just be a straightforward DRS pass, as we've seen so many times already in the 2 or 3 laps in this race. Rafa runs wide. Was that a tactic just to try and make sure that Marcus did not get the DRS, I wonder? But unfortunately for Rafa, it didn't work. And unfortunately for Rafa, he's not got a lot of defence here. He's going to try and break the toe. Don't want to get caught weaving too much. Do not want to get caught weaving too much. Out of ERS for Marcus Towler. Sends it down the inside into turn number 1. Both of them going off the circuit. That might cause a bit of controversy, but they are fighting tooth and nail at this moment in time. This is only for 9th and 10th position, but Marcus Towler finally makes it through. Great racing between them. There goes Velo down the inside of Bloodwinds. He is now up into 2nd place. Now, can he try and break 6 seconds from RJW? Looks like it's going to happen, as still Marcus and Rafa are battling. Still Rafa's holding on ahead. Somehow, brilliant racing between these two. There's a bit of wheel banging at the moment, but doesn't look too severe, as I think now Marcus has finally got all of his car ahead. And that is Marcus Towler up into 9th. And they are both on 12 seconds of penalties as well. And I think that is why they're fighting so hard, of course, being on equal penalties now. Velho, he's broken away from RJW videos, as are both of these drivers. He's got to hope he can break away from Bloodwinds, because if not, and these two start battling, that might hold him up. Although, on the other hand, if they just start nice and easy with the DRS, that would help him. Bloodwinds knows he's just got to stay in this position. Oh, now that could be costly. That could be very costly from Velo. Gets himself, in the final few laps of the race, a third 3-second time penalty. He's now up to 9 seconds. And what was mission difficult, I think, just became mission impossible for our championship leader. It's going to be very tough indeed to keep that gap above 9 seconds as this race goes on, as this battle's still happening. Marcus Towler out of ERS. DRS for Rafa, just too far behind on this occasion, so will not be able to do anything about it. And I think another man who's too far behind is J. Cole, 7/10 of a second behind Bogin at the moment. Both of them staying within range of Merck, so no, they are going to gain another place, but they'll want that top 5. They'll want that extra 2 points that come with that. And with the consistency that J. Cole's shown, you never know. Could be a bit of a dark horse this season. Definitely I think the best race he's had so far, just in terms of pace, just in terms of things going well for him. 10th and 11th so far. No matter what happens, this is going to be his best finish. And he's currently on position to more than double his points, as Rafa gets a 3-second time penalty. And that kind of just neutralises that battle ever so slightly. So things calming down in the final few laps. And the man who's in the lead, as he has been ever since the end of the first safety car, just serenely taking his way through. It is Kango Khan. Two more laps to go at the end of this one. He will be claiming his first win of the season, and he'll be claiming the championship lead as well, as we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. And I believe that is Black Panther, who, first race of the season for him, has, you could say, been one to forget. But he's kept on going, and he will get at least a point, because who knows if there's going to be any post-race penalties. There'd have to be some massive ones to gain 21 seconds on the car in front and 48 seconds on the next one, I admit. But you never know what could happen in Formula 1. We do get plenty of controversy. There's some battling happening up ahead. I think that is Stiper-Owens just getting lapped at this moment in time. Yeah, that was Stiper just getting lapped by Merck. So nothing to worry about. Black Panther comes into the pits at the end of lap 31. Who can blame him? He's going to finish in the top 12 if he finishes. He's going to have a chance of getting that bonus fastest lap point. So can't really blame him in this situation. Just trying anything to get a bonus point. Marcus Towler's in 9th at the moment. He's broken away from Rafa. Mercedes, as they're both reserve drivers, neither Mercedes a full-time driver tonight. They are going to stay the only team on no points. But it has been a superb night from McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. They currently stand to take a 1-2 in this race. To take a massive lead in the Constructors. Velo will drop down to 4th unless he can somehow gain 4.5 seconds on this final lap. So I'd imagine unless RJW has a spin, he's going to be pretty safe on the podium. But final lap of the race then. The only real battle is for 6th and what will become 5th place. And Bogan has been absolutely helped by his teammate tonight. Sniper Owens has given Bogan a lovely, jubbly dose of the DRS there. Not sure it was deliberate. It does just look like Sniper Owens is running his own race at the moment. Imagine Jay Collins going to feel a tiny bit aggrieved about that. But hey, that is just the way. That is the way the cookie crumbles at the times. Can J. Cole get a better run out of turn number 4? He's a bit too far back, I think, here to do anything. So he's going to have to rely on a mistake from the driver ahead. He's made mistakes on the strategy, but out on track, Bogan has been absolutely fantastic today. In a 5th position with some of the issues that he's had, staying out too long on the wets. I think he'd have taken that, especially after the first safety car where he nearly dropped outside of the top 10. But the man who called it right, the first front runner to go for a set of the intermediate tyres was Kango Khan under the safety car. And he just pulled away once that came in. Was able to take it nice and steady since then. He rounds the final corner for the final time. It is a victory here in Portugal and the championship lead from Kango Khan. Velho, he's going to cross the line in 2nd place, but it will be a 1-2 for the McLaren team. Bloodwinds takes 2nd. RJW takes his first podium of the season, and I think this one he will definitely get to keep. Merckx cross the line in 5th. He drops behind Bogan and J. Cole. Then it is a bit of a long wait for the rest of the cars. Miami again making it so that both Aston Martins have finished in the points in every single race. I think it is only them and McLaren that have done that at the moment. An absolutely brilliant performance from them as Miami just rounds the final few corners. He's going to finish in 8th place, but your winner here today, I think Larkin has just spotted the Shizou in front of Bogan's name. You're right, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out on track, but unfortunately Merckx crossed the white lines last too many times as the sun started to come out here. And the sun is definitely shining in the McLaren garage. It is a win for Kango Khan and a 1-2 with Bloodwinds bringing it home for his first podium of the season. I think drive of the day, I think we're all going to have to agree here. Who is it going to come up with? We'll see who the in-game driver of the day. They're giving it to Bloodwinds. I think you've got to give it to Kango Khan. Went for the intermediates. A brave call that early on. Even under the safety car could have been very difficult. Just had them bedded in. And from then pulled away, got a comfortable lap, didn't have to rush when it came to the softs, and he claims his first win, and I believe becomes the first man to actually step on the podium multiple times this season. It is Bloodwinds in 2nd, and RJW, after losing out on a podium earlier on the season after penalty removals, he finishes in 3rd place then. The rest of the provisional results, Velho, that last penalty ending up not costing him, but he does finish in 4th and lose the championship lead. Bogan, great pace today. I think he could be one to watch if we see him throughout the rest of the season. He is in 5th. J. Collins 6th. Merckx gets 7th, losing out on penalties, but a consolation point with the fastest lap. Miami was in 8th. Marcus Towler and Rafa had a great battle towards the end. They finished 9th and 10th. Sniper Owens is 11th. Himself and Black Panther were the final 2 finishers. They're in the points, but they were a lap down. Alec, we saw retire out on track, as did Stake. Carter retiring in the pit lane. Matthias having a crash which brought out the safety car, which really did have a big impact on this race. Bryn in 17th, and then ERT Kasu disqualified on the first lap of the race. The first lap of what was again, as it always has been here so far in League of Europe, a very interesting race indeed. So much happening in that race, and let's see if we can just get some of the drivers in to the interview room, because that was one to watch, folks. That was one to watch. So much happening out there on the circuit. We are just going to see if we can get those top through in for interviews. Let me know if there's anything you would want to ask them in the chat as well, and I will try to get your questions through them. XL1234 in the end, a McLaren 1-2 for them as well, extending their lead in the championship. RJ getting his first podium of the season. And tricky conditions. Started for wets, went to the intermediates, looked like it was going to stay intermediates. I'd say for the entire race, for the majority of that, it did look as though we were going to get intermediates for the entirety of the race. But towards the end, it did just dry up. Rafa, he tried it pretty early. I think Alec was another one to try it very early and was expecting, I should say, for it to dry up a bit earlier than it did. But that was not the way it worked, as I believe we have got some drivers just starting to head into the interview room. So we will start with our race winner, with our new championship leader, XL Kango Con. That call under the safety car to go through the intermediate tyres turned out to be crucial.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the yellow flag, I was like, if there is a safety car, do I pit or not? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I have nothing to lose at this point. And so I went for it. And when I went out of the pits, the all-out lap before catching the safety car, I was like, yeah, grip is sort of okay. The tires were uncold and everything. And it felt good. So I told Bloodwind to come in if the safety car wasn't coming in at the end of the lap. And it was the right call at the end. Just a bit scary at the restart, but apart that, it was a good thing, a good race.
Yeah, I think there was quite a lot of chaos in the restart. Quite a lonely race in the end, and obviously building up that lead meant you could wait a bit longer to go onto the softs once the track did eventually dry out.
Yeah, it wasn't really for the softs or anything. It was just because of the 5 seconds. I was like, if there is a safety car and I'm stuck behind the safety car or something like that and I can't pit, I didn't want it to lose like 5 or 6 positions while beating. So I was like, if I can build a 30 or 40 seconds gap, then I will do it to be safe. And to be honest, I didn't push that hard to create the gap. And it was quite easy on the inters.
Yeah, it was quite easy on the inters in the end for you. So great performance, leading the championship. Now, what are your hopes heading into the next race at Austria? I imagine you might be just hoping for a nice normal race because we've had 3 races so far and they've been absolutely crazy.
Well, to be honest, if they can be crazy and I can win at the end, they can be crazy. But I don't know. Usually I'm quite strong around Austria, but we will see. On this game, I'm struggling a bit around Austria, so we will see.
Yeah, we will see indeed. I'll let you head off now. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
We're now going to bring in the man who finished in 3rd place, and that is XLRJ. Great performance from yourself today. Superb pace, I've got to say, on that set of the intermediate tyres. Did you make changes to the setup because of that?
I did actually. I raised the suspension just to clear the water, but the pace on the inters was pretty good. I mean, I got very lucky with what happened at the safety car restart. I think several drivers come into the pit and they've just come from the far side of the track and hit some people. But so I managed to gain like 8 positions on that. But no, my pace is good enough to just keep Wello and Bloodwind's behind. Unfortunately, Bloodwind's undercut me. Sorry. I didn't think it was quite ready, but he gained 3 seconds on me, so it was. But I was just managing the gap to Wello at the end, just making sure this podium did count. I don't want to get this one taken away from me like it did at Imola, but yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I think you're definitely safe from getting this podium taken away. And again, you've got this podium thanks to the ability to keep it clean during the races. Austria next week is another track where we see plenty of track limit penalties, so possibly I think that could be another good result for you.
Definitely. I've never personally had an issue with the track limits at Austria, so I'm quite looking forward to see how many paces I can gain with that. But I think my pace is I think Portimao is probably my worst track pace wise, so I'm really happy to even get points here, let alone the podium.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do some quick maths here. I think you might be up to third or fourth in the championship. I know when we asked you at Imola, you said, well, I don't really think I'll be able to challenge too much for it. But if the races keep going like this, if you keep making the right calls, do you think there's a possibility more podiums and who knows, maybe even a win this year?
More podiums. I'm definitely looking for it. If I get a win, something will have happened. Like something bad will have happened at the front. So, but if the opportunity is there, I'm going to go for it. I just throughout the season, I think I finished 5th last year just from keeping it clean, keeping it on the track. So, if I'm in and around there, I know there's a lot of quick guys this season, especially in the reserves. But if I can keep it clean, I want to be pretty much 5th around there this season.
I'd say you've definitely got a chance of that. So I'll let you head off and celebrate this podium. And again, I think I'm 100% sure this time that you will get to keep this podium. And that is, I think that's pretty much it then for the interview. So that is pretty much it for this stream. Make sure to check out, obviously, the rest of the League of Europe action tomorrow. The 5 tiers across the PlayStation. 3 of them on at 6:30. 2 of them at 8:10. There's also Enduro and F2 during the week. We will be back, though, next Friday with the Austrian Grand Prix. We've had 3 different winners from 3 races so far. We've had 3 different pole sitters from 3 races so far. Can we make it 4 out of 4 at the Red Bull Ring? Thanks to everyone for watching and keeping me company in the comments and the chat. Thanks also to, we saw RJ and KangoCon joining us for the interviews. But until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.